Leaving her home on what must surely be the greatest day of her life, Queen Elizabeth drives to her coronation. All night through, indeed longer than that, crowds have waited for this moment as the golden coach appears in view for the first time. The long planning, the careful rehearsals, the flurry of preparations, all have reached their fruition in this dramatic opening of a dramatic and historic occasion. Imagine, if you can, our young Queen's feelings, as with her husband beside her, she is slowly borne towards the hours-long ceremony of pomp, circumstance and dedication, consecrating her as Queen of all the nations and all the races over which she holds sovereignty. Preceded by her guards and escorted by her cavalry, she drives through cheering crowds down the gaily decorated avenue of the Mall. So, on past Admiralty Arch and through Trafalgar Square, perhaps the focal point of London's affectionate homage to its Queen. The great procession passed this spot 3 times, and those of the crowd who didn't get a good view now had 2 more chances later on. Down Northumberland Avenue to the Embankment, where the streets were lined with wildly cheering schoolchildren. What a spectacle of colour and pageantry it was as the head of the Queen's procession approached the Abbey. Scarlet and gold and blue, set off by the pale spring green of the trees and the multicoloured panorama of the rejoicing crowds. A Queen was coming to her crowning, and her people, love and affection overfilling their hearts, added their voices to the martial music and the pealing of bells. On the steps of the specially built annex, the Earl Marshal of England stands ready to receive his sovereign. From the roaring of the multitude into the quiet solemnity of the great Abbey steps Her Majesty. The moment of coronation is nigh. Uplifting, inspiring strains of music and a vast and varied congregation of guests await the Queen as she passes up the nave of the great cathedral, and the cry, "Vivat," rings out from the scholars of Westminster School. The peers of the realm, including Prince Philip, are already in their places. The Queen moves past them on her way to the chair of his state, which she is to occupy for the early part of the ceremony. The first necessary step in the traditional ritual is that the Queen should be accepted by the people. The Archbishop of Canterbury addresses the congregation.
Sirs, I here present unto you Queen Elizabeth, your undoubted Queen. Wherefore, all you who are come this day to do your homage and service, are you willing to do the same?
The people have recognized their sovereign, and now the Archbishop administers the coronation oath.
Madam, is your Majesty willing to take the oath?
I am willing.
Will you solemnly promise and swear to govern the peoples of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the Union of South Africa, Pakistan, and Ceylon, and of your possession and the other territories to any of them belonging or pertaining, according to their respective laws and customs?
I solemnly promise so to do.
The promise is sealed at a faldstool before the altar. The Queen kisses the book and signs the form of oath. The Bible itself is then presented to her by the Moderator of the Church of Scotland.
Here is wisdom, this is the royal law, these are the lively oracles of God.
The Queen's crimson robe is removed. A canopy of cloth of gold is brought forward by 4 Knights of the Garter as she takes her seat in King Edward's chair. And here, in the most mysterious of the rites of coronation, the Archbishop anoints her with holy oil and consecrates her to her great office. When the congregation again see their Queen, the character of this consecration is symbolized by arraying her in vestments resembling those of a priest. The sword of state is brought from the altar to be delivered to the Queen. Presently she rises and carries it back to the altar in token of submission of her authority to God. Now the majestic emblem of the Robe Royal is placed around her shoulders, enveloping her in gold. She receives the orb, symbol of the dominion of the cross over the world, and the 2 scepters, one with the cross, the other with the dove. The last and grandest symbol of all is the crown of St. Edward. It is blessed by the Archbishop at the altar. The climax of the ceremony has arrived when the Archbishop gently sets this splendid emblem on the Queen's head. And the trumpets sound. The crowned Queen now moves from King Edward's chair to mount her throne, which is set back in the middle of the theatre. Having made her promises to her people, it is the turn of her people to make their promises of allegiance to her. First, the Archbishop pays his homage. Among the lay lords, the first to declare himself is her own husband, Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Rising, he kisses the Queen's cheek and touches the Queen's crown, in token of his readiness to help her bear its burden. After him comes the Queen's uncle, the Duke of Gloucester. Homage is likewise paid by the senior peer in each degree, swearing faith and truth to bear unto the Queen, to live and die against all manner of folks. The whole ceremony has been enacted within the framework of a communion service. And now, the Queen leaves her throne to take the sacrament. This is not to be photographed, but in humility and piety, she draws near to the altar to receive it in company with her husband at the hands of the Archbishop. So, the ceremony ended. After a short pause, processions are formed for the departure from the Abbey. The Queen, now arrayed in royal purple and wearing the imperial state crown, leaves the chapel to the strains of the national anthem. With the scepter in her right hand, and in her left hand the orb, Queen Elizabeth II passes from the Abbey, consecrated and dedicated to her life work by the solemn and hallowed ritual of coronation. The crowning over, the Queen emerges to find that the weather had been unkind, but in spite of the gloom and the wet, Her Majesty looked radiant as she moved to the coach. The rain certainly didn't damp the enthusiasm of the crowds as they watched the procession. Men from all corners of the Commonwealth, men of all races and creeds, marching in honour of their Queen. And there was a special cheer for Sir Winston and his charming wife as they passed through Trafalgar Square. But apart from the Queen herself, the biggest welcome was undoubtedly for the Queen Mother, driving with Princess Margaret, on a day which must have held for her proud, poignant memories of her own coronation. Prince Charles and Princess Anne watched enthralled as the troops swung down the Mall around the Victoria Memorial. What a gay, colourful pageant. What a demonstration of heartfelt rejoicing in which all countries owing allegiance to Her Majesty took part. From Canada, the Mounties, brilliant in their scarlet tunics, capturing the imagination of young and old alike. And the men and women of the services, marching splendidly, as befitted so great an occasion. Now the moment of moments arrives. Resplendent in the regalia with which she had been invested so solemnly, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, with her consort beside her, concludes her royal progress.
As this day draws to its close, I know that my abiding memory of it will be not only the solemnity and beauty of the ceremony, but the inspiration of your loyalty and affection. I thank you all from a full heart. God bless you all.
The final scene. The royal family assembled together on the palace balcony to receive the acclamation of their subjects and the Air Force's salute on Coronation Day. And so, this day of days most memorable comes to an end, and with it begins a new era, the new Elizabethan age, an age in which the love and faith and hope of all the Commonwealth rest on the slim shoulders of the beautiful Queen who has just been crowned. Long may she reign.